Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Reapers Network. Pinch yourselves, that really is him. He is here tonight to join us and speak to you all. And what I must say is thank you very much, Than, for joining us tonight. And seeing as we are in the presence of reefing royalty, and he is the best dressed man in reefing, I have to honour the man.
Oh, no.
And go in full suit. There we go. Also, just for the British viewers out there, no, I haven't been out canvassing for Reform all day. It's just that Than thought this was an American show, and I had to just put that point across. Anyway, welcome one and all. Hope everyone is well. Dong, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah, it's a wonderful week.
Before I go on to Terrell, there is one thing we must say, and that is for our good friend Dong here from all at the Reefers Network. I really hope everyone joins me because Dong has become a grandfather this week. So massive congratulations to Dong and your family.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I hope mum and baby are doing well.
Oh, doing great. Big baby.
Good to hear. Baby. And it was a boy, wasn't it?
Boy. Yep.
Amazing. Good to hear. Well, congrats again.
Yep. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Terrell, how's your week been?
It has been amazing, man. It's been a blessed week. We've been staying busy. It's good, and everything's still alive, so it's a good week.
Are you back to normal after your week at Rap?
It's been hard catching up, man. I feel like it's only since we got back from Rap Orlando, it's been only getting busier. And so catching up has been a little bit on the difficult side, but I think we're finally back to it. Today, I know we were just talking about I'm getting a new AC put in the house, so we're getting back to hot days in the summertime, and I need that backup because I'm paranoid about, we lose the AC, we're done.
Yeah, I can imagine where you guys are. Yeah, cool. And lastly, but by no means least, Than, thank you so much for joining us. How have you been?
Thanks for having me.
Nice. You're more than welcome. So we've got quite a lot we want to talk about tonight. It's going to go in any direction we feel it can. We're going to skirt around a few things because obviously we're conscious that you've got a really cool live stream coming up next Thursday with AAC. We'll put a screenshot up of that later on in the show, but that's mainly about urchins, so we might not go on to that, but people may have seen your part 1 video, which has been out for a week or so now. Really interesting stuff going on. But before we jump into too much, as we always do, I'd like to just pop in and say hello to the people that have joined us. Obviously, without further ado, the first one in the chat, Mr. John Wright. Hello, John. Glad you're here. Lindsay as well. Hi, Lindsay. Saying hello to John and ignoring us, but that's fine by me. Tony Close. Good to see you again, Tony. People talking. Rama. Hi, Tom. How's it going, my man? Rama, John. Nice chat. Mylot. Hello, Mylot. Good evening. Hope you're well, sir. Shaz. Nice to see Shaz always. Hope Tommy's there and well as well. Anthony, UKM 120. How are we doing? Keep going. Dave Reef. Hi, Dave. Tekker's in the house. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the comments here. People are talking a lot. Oh, we've got a new spot, Ranger Reefer. Good to see you and welcome to the channel. Harry West is here. Alan's always around. It's like a bad smell. But we like Alan. Reefy Reese. Hi, Reese. How you doing, buddy? He's a cool guy. I have a brain on him, working on some automation at the moment, I believe. Keep it going. Sorry if I'm missing people here. Junior 4488 is another new name. Nice to see you, as well as Stephen Owen. Good to see you back. Abs Reef. Hi, Peter Parry. Wouldn't be a show about Mr. Parry.
Yep.
Matt, the Norfolk Reefer. Hiya, Matt. Hope you're good. I think Matt's on with you next Thursday, Dan. So you'll be meeting Matt face to face. Where are we going? Great White Reef. Okay, nice one. That's a cool name. How's it going? Dirt Devils Reef. Always good to see you. And I think we're coming to the end. No, we're not. William Schneider. Hiya, William. Reef Tail Therapy. There's a fair few new names coming on tonight. This is great.
Yeah, definitely.
Good old Steph. Hiya, Steph. Giving a nice congratulations to Dong.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. Got Aldo's Reef, another one saying congratulations to Don. Hello, good evening. Oh, so this is a long list tonight.
Yeah.
Jake, Austin Stanley, nice to see you. Gazazazar, hello Gaz, how are we doing? And I think we're coming towards the end. I think, are we? No, Bayou Reefing, good to see you. Albert Ewan 7645. I think that is it. Welcome to everyone that is here and will be watching it back. So, right, catch my breath again now. Right, where do we start? So, a brief introduction, really. So, from what I know, Tidal Gardens, massively successful wholesaler in the US, coral farmer, whatever. Hugely successful YouTube channel, 110,000 followers or more, 117, I think, last time I looked. It's not just a YouTube networking channel, it is a bank of knowledge. So you've got all of these reference videos, coral care, you name it. I use it all the time to look up specific genera and find a care package for. Than, I can't sum it up in a few sentences. For those that don't know, and I'd hope there isn't many of them, can you tell us a little bit about Tidal Gardens?
Sure. It's basically your run-of-the-mill coral farm. It was started as a side hustle back when I was in college, and it's been a really long journey to getting it from just like a backyard side hustle to where it is now. I was working a very different life before that. And one day, the side hustle just got enough momentum that it could save me from my normal office job. And once it got close, that's when I really fully committed to that. And that was probably, 15 years ago that switch over happened. And it's worked out really nicely, I have to say. This is a much more fulfilling profession than all the officey stuff that I was doing previously.
Yeah, I can imagine that. So from those people that I've spoken to who have been lucky to visit you, because as I understand it, it's not a public facility, right? It's a private closed shop.
Yeah, we do have people visit by appointment. So it's always available. We just have to set up a time. So there's no walk-in retail hours or anything like that. But we are pretty flexible when it comes to scheduling.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, the one thing that people say, other than awe-inspiring and superb and all those superlatives I could throw at you, is the one comment people always think if you don't think of in a reefing facility is the silence of the place and how you've got everything running so miraculously dim. How do you achieve that? And that was obviously part of your design, I take it.
Yeah, it was more like something that I just fixated on and just really went crazy with, because this is easily one of those decisions that does not have any return on investment. This is your run-of-the-mill, really bad financial idea. It will never make sense on paper. But when you actually implement it, it is such a unique characteristic of the facility that it becomes a part of the brand practically. Yeah. I've basically built Tidal Gardens as a recording studio, but it's a 9,000 square foot operating coral farm recording studio, that's clearly never been done. I'll challenge anybody. You will not have found anybody else stupid enough to have done that. But it really is using what technology that a professional recording studio would use. So a lot of our vendors, when it comes to sound treatment and stuff like that, they work on incredibly impressive projects with musicians that you've heard of, and very large corporations that you've heard of doing their conference rooms and stuff like that. And also really big orchestral halls and stuff like that. So those are the types of technologies and materials that we've put into Tidal Gardens to make a coral farm practically dead silent.
Even though it doesn't look good on paper, do you find that you working in there, it pays the return for your benefit? You enjoy it?
Oh, for sure. Like, I love it. Like, I think that having like a very quiet workplace is like naturally de-stressing. I mean, some people when they first enter, especially certain parts of the studio, like of not the studio, of the entire coral farm, like we have a studio space that is orders of magnitude more quiet than the rest of the farm. And some people think that that area is like freak out levels of quiet because they can hear their heartbeat and stuff just just
Wow.
walking around. And so they don't like that necessarily, but that room is really quiet. But I think that just being in the space that's that quiet, it's naturally de-stressing. Like it really just pulls a lot of like the tension just out of you. It's a very strange effect. But as a practical matter, when you have a scale facility like Tidal Gardens, there's always some mechanical failure. Like when you guys were doing the intro, one of my guys was like texting me about a pump that is like 90% rust. And it's like, this thing is failing, and it was probably the reason why the acros in that tank look terrible. It's like, yeah, that'll do it, right? And there's always something failing. And a lot of our ability to diagnose that is something sounds wrong. And one other time, I was literally upstairs on a sofa doing something, and I heard something just didn't quite sound right. And it was downstairs, 100 feet away, was a pump that was literally getting so hot that like the plastic was bubbling.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So there's your benefit right there.
Yeah, you are able to diagnose these issues because it just doesn't sound right.
Right.
It's interesting. I come from I don't want to swear on this show, but a freshwater background, and I'm used to working in fish rooms and aquatic centres that are the opposite. You know, every tank's got an air stone in it, and it's just a constant bubbling sound. And I found that quite therapeutic background noise. You know, like how some people sleep with a white noise machine and that sort of stuff. It was that sort of thing for me. But now, as I'm 20 years older, silence is very appealing. Very appealing.
Yep.
So, and like you say, you can spot mechanical failure very easily.
And I'm taking notes over here. Mrs. Poo-Tang Reefs, she has that same idea in the house where, you know, it's a lot of noise all the time. It's a lot of water noise. It's a lot of other stuff going on, and it compiles. It stacks on top of each other. And, you know, I think, you know, for the future, I'm taking notes off of what you've done because realistically, I appreciate a quiet place as well. It's important.
Yeah, and I think that once you have it, because I think that people get kind of like ear blind to what their place sounds like. It's like, oh, that's just what it sounds like,
right?
And that's normal. It's like a mess in your house. Like that's just what the house looks like. That's normal. But when somebody comes in for the first time and looks at like, why do you have all that stuffed into a corner, you know, just randomly, right? So that's not normal.
Right.
But because you get so used to what your place sounds like, you don't realize that it could be so much quieter. And that's kind of why it's nice to have people over, because just to see their initial reaction when like the place hits them, because it's almost bewildering as soon as they walk across the threshold.
I gotta ask, is that something that it's a good feeling you get when somebody walks in and they see this and they just go, whoa. Like it's like they walked into a whole nother universe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's always a cool feeling to see that it's been noticed and appreciated, because it wasn't a little task.
Big task.
You're right. Though reef tail therapy says exactly the same. You just get so used to your sound, don't you? You habituate to it. But I guess it kind of works as well, because I know if I walk into my fish room and I don't hear something, I'll look for that problem. I've got like the opposite to what you've achieved at Tidal Gardens. I listen for the noise.
It's a little bit too quiet in here.
Yeah.
Too quiet is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But that definitely is the take home from people I speak to. It's something they comment on. So it obviously is striking. Like it must be completely against what we'd expect. Are there any other sort of quirks to how you set up, maybe that goes against the norm?
Yeah, I would say that one of the, I mean, this is like purely excessive once again, but one of the things that we do here is we want to have almost all of the facilities or the infrastructure exposed and trying to make that look beautiful. So a lot of our plumbing is exposed. A lot of just the way that we've routed like cabling and stuff like that. It's we really want the extra mile to both make it accessible, but also make it as invisible as possible. And I think that normally like a store would achieve like a very clean look just by putting everything behind like cabinetry. And it'll look amazing. It'll be like beautiful cabinetry. But once you look inside the cabinetry is where you get all your snake pits and all that stuff and like your months of salt creep because you haven't actually looked in there in a while. But ours is completely wide open and skeletal, and trying to make that also look aesthetically pleasing is a challenge.
Now, is that with mind? For me, it's out of sight, out of mind. If I can't see it out in front, it'll keep getting neglected, and then problems persist. So, everything out in the open, kind of, you're always scanning over everything.
Yeah, being able to see stuff, for example, a pump that is bubbling through the plastic shell, that's a thing, right? But I would also say that having open access to everything all the time also makes working on the stuff that much easier too. So even though I wanted a specific aesthetic for the coral farm, I also wanted to be supremely easy to operate on. So whenever we do have to okay, we need to take that pump down and do like an acid bath for it. It's actually a pretty trivial task to do that here because of how wide open and accessible literally every piece of equipment is. So that's kind of also the big operational benefit.
I'm a huge fan of the tidy, crisp look. One thing that really grates on me is I go to a load of shops. Like every time I'm working around the country, I'll pop into an LFS and look. And one thing that grates on me is that the shop front is immaculate, and then they'll show you behind the scenes, and it is just thrown in. And they're like, but no, this isn't a public place. No one sees it. I'm like, but you do, and you work in here, and where's the pride in your work behind the scenes? Why is it just what's behind those polished gloss veneers out front? Is it rubbish? Is it I think people perceive like if a system is neat, tidy, crisp, and clean and well looked after, you just know that the guy who's looking after that knows that his corals are in good condition, and it carries on through the whole chain. I feel you very rarely see a high-end system looked after impeccably, full of diseased, dying corals. They just don't go together.
We almost have like the opposite issue. I think that as far as me, my focus tends to be on polishing the work environment to such a degree that I'm less aware of what's actually happening in the aquariums. I just take that for granted. And I would say that would be a major blind spot with me, is I should really be looking at the aquariums more for signs of issues rather than just constantly iterating on the process of taking care of the systems and designing the systems better and better and better. Because I think that, there's still room for improvement, but there's a serious diminishing return at this point. I think that at this point, I would be better off taking more time looking at the actual aquariums, doing a little bit more siphoning in the actual aquariums and stuff like that. Like the next Abyss closed loop is not going to really fix some of these other issues that I'm having.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're at the minutiae now of tweaks. And that's
that diminishing return.
Not a bad place to be.
But isn't that, to that point, it's nice to hear, because I think a lot of reefers, they see somebody at your level versus their level, and they think we don't make mistakes, we don't get hyper focused on things and miss certain things. So it is nice to, you're being real about it. You're saying, yeah, man, I get hyper focused on the process rather than looking at the coral, and you could see the shortcoming of that, and you can correct it, and that's what makes you a good reefer. And Hey, we're all human. We all do it.
Yeah, you got to pick your battles, and like the reality of it, especially because a lot of what I do on a day-to-day basis, it's not super relatable to like a typical home hobbyist. But if there is a lesson, like I would love to focus on, again, the next Abyss closed loop, which will cost $5,000, let's say. I would have been way better taking $5,000 and buying salt and doing water changes with it. Like, there's not even any question. Like, that would be orders of magnitude more impactful to the health of my corals than another pump system. Like, it just would.
Yeah.
So
Well,
with that
not
said,
asking-
how much? Sorry, you gotta. Since the Sam was talking about water change, I'm just wondering how much water change do you guys do, and how frequent?
Good question. Not nearly enough. So I would say that on average, we will do, let's say, a 10% water change on a system once per month.
Okay.
But that is not including all of the top off that we're doing from operations. So shipping corals out, doing like a preventative siphoning of such and such, the water that's lost, when we're maintaining like equipment and stuff like that, and all that other stuff. It does play in, but it's a tiny portion. And then we'll do like a bigger mass water change of about 10% every month. I can pretty much tell you that is not enough, at least on a facility of my scale, because I recently, as of like yesterday, went through all of my ICP tests for the past year. And a lot of our issues really comes down to the systems that are getting the most in terms of water turnover, in terms of water changes and stuff like that, the systems that we ship the most out of, they have way better water chemistry than some of the other ones that are slightly more neglected when it comes to that, even though those other systems have way better equipment. And I mean like way better. So it really just comes down to, well, these systems over here with inferior equipment are getting more water changes. These systems here with cost no object, but fewer water changes are demonstrably poorer over 12 months.
Wow.
So that was very enlightening.
Right.
You did mention ICPs. Are you doing trace element dosing on the backside for it?
Yeah, okay. So let me just like lay out what we're doing there. So we start off with our mediocre to poor water change schedule. So there's that layer. The next layer, I would say, is we're doing kalkwasser. So we have roughly 30 to 60 gallons of kalkwasser per system that's getting peristaltically dosed 24/7. And then after that, we have calcium reactors, and those are obviously running 24/7. We do tweak the blend of what's in the calcium reactor just a little bit, depending on magnesium and whatnot. If for some reason we were low for a long time. And then we are looking at, if we're low on alkalinity, we do the soda ash peristaltic dosing of that. Then when it comes to trace, we are sending out ICPs monthly per system. And so we make a blend of trace elements bespoke for that particular system based on what that ICP was. And that gets dosed 24/7 over the course of 30 days. We get our updated ICP test, then we tweak our formula, make our 5-gallon bucket of RO plus trace, and dose that for the next 30 days. It's imperfect, but it gets us into the ballpark of where we want to be, but it is a constant iterative feedback loop once monthly when it comes to ICP. I will say, though, that me looking into the ICP stuff yesterday, the most interesting stuff was that, because there were times where we were sending out the same tank's samples to 3 different services on the same day. And so when we get that data, because we have like a main vendor that we're using, and then we'll test it quarterly against a second vendor, and then maybe like once a year we'll test it against a third vendor, right? And there's just so much data, I really couldn't like really sit down and take a look at it. So I ran a lot of this through AI just to be like, show me trends, compare like, A/B testing or ABC testing. But what I found was that for the big macro elements and the big picture water chemistry stuff, these tests are very consistent. When it comes to trace elements, those three tests are highly divergent.
Yep.
And so so I really can't take any particular test as like the word of God as far as what's actually happening in my tank. So my, I guess, like close enough technique as far as like my 5-gallon bucket of trace, it's going to have to get in the ballpark and off of 0, and just slightly bioavailable is pretty good for me.
So when you mix that 5-gallon bucket of trace, are you using a commercial product, or you actually go straight to raw chemical and make your own blend?
I'm not making my own blend. So I'm using like some commercial products. Depending on, it kind of changes over time, because honestly, I think a lot of these people are just getting it from the same vendors anyway. I mean, like really, like nobody in the reef aquarium industry is making chemicals, right? They're sourcing chemicals likely from the same place. So as long as we get to the right purity level, I'm happy with that, right? But there's definitely some people that try to save money on certain ones, because like stuff like fluoride is like very expensive to get through like the reef aquarium industry. But I still choose to do that because like certain things are incredibly dangerous to handle, like fluoride.
Absolutely.
I don't want to mess with that. That gives you like instant turbo cancer if you do it wrong. And I'm not trying to save, $20 on fluoride. So I just go through vendors.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
well, on the equipment side, on the equipment side, what you said about the differences between water change system on lower end equipment and your higher end stuff, and not asking you to name names and brands and stuff because it's a commercial thing, but do you find you get what you pay for, or do you find the high end gear isn't worth the money? Or
so there's definitely some expensive stuff that's just expensive. But there is a tier that you will reach that is legitimately industrial professional. And boy, does that make a difference. So I would say that professional stuff. And so, for example, I'll give you like just a couple of ideas, right? So obviously Abyss. I love Abyss. This is like the dream standard for public aquariums. Public aquariums dream about it, like getting Abyss in their budgets. It's that good, legitimately that good. I have visited their facilities in Germany. They're the real thing. As far as like peristaltic pumps, okay, we use $200 good enough-ish Chemoar Chinese manufactured stuff, okay?
Interesting.
It's pretty good. We also use the Ecotech stuff, but I actually sort of like the Chemoar stuff better. But if you wanted to get professional, there's the healthcare industry. Like how good do you have to be? Because if you need to fight off a wrongful death suit, you're going to spend a lot of money on a peristaltic pump, right? So there are medical grade $3,000 peristaltic pumps that professionals will use. So once you get to that level, absolutely they are better than commercial hobbyist grade. But does it make sense for a hobbyist? I think it makes sense for a hobbyist that either has like a straight up fortune in their aquariums, and there's probably a lot of them that do. It makes sense for those folks, and it makes sense for commercial facilities once they get to a certain scale, because you can save all the money you want on replacement stuff. Like let's just say an Abyss is $3,000 to $4,000. Well, that can get you 10 cheaper pumps, and you can literally blow through 9 of them in the same time, in the same replacement cycle of like a professional pump.
Right.
But across scale, the labor and attention required to constantly service and replace dead and dying inferior pumps really starts to add up. So that single, very expensive professional product is freeing up attention and headspace of your staff. And that's now suddenly having some major payback for you.
Right.
Yeah, when the labor cost is factored in, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yep. I think the easy way to put it is when you feel like you actually need to question whether or not you need it is maybe you're at that point.
I mean, certainly some of this stuff is vanity, right? Like, oh, it's like I've got a 120 gallon tank and I want to get an Abyss return pump. I'm like, cool. I mean, it's flexing a little bit.
I'm happy to pay a bit more for a better product because the tank behind me is 8 foot by 3 foot wide front to back. I can't reach the base of the back of this thing, so I'm happy to put a better quality product and pay a bit more for it in an inaccessible spot that I only have to get out twice a year rather than once a month. So that's my way off on it as well, because it's a nightmare to do. And if you've got a facility that's on scale, that 10, 15, 20 times over, it's a massive payback when you're paying salaries and stuff, for sure. So it's a different mindset, I guess. And I just admire the fact that you've gone that way, because a lot of times when people upscale and build a facility, they look for the cheapest way of doing something to make it more economical to run, which I understand, but the fact you've gone the other way is, business must be good, which kind of leads me on to the next question, to steer it down the coral route. So you won't remember it, but we've met before, Than. We met when he was in the UK at AAC, and I think it was Coral Freaks last year or the year before. He was over and he was giving a nice talk on stage, and you answered a question from the audience about, do you sell all of the basic beginner corals like Xenia? And your response was, holy crap, this place was built on Xenia. So my question is, has that trend changed, or do you still rely on those bread and butter corals to sort of pay the bills?
I think Tidal Gardens is kind of different than most places in that we do sell and actively culture a lot of the bread and butter stuff. And I think that for like the people that are looking for like the absolute highest end collecting stuff, this is probably not the place. Because we tend to add new corals and stuff like that very infrequently and at a much lower volume. So I would definitely say that a lot of like the not even beginner stuff, I would just say a lot of, I don't even know how to describe it, just stuff that can be aquaculture, that has been aquaculture for a long time. That's really our sweet spot. Obviously we do have some high-end stuff, but we are definitely not actively going out and shopping for like a lot of these really, really choice pieces, probably to our detriment. Like it's probably something that I should be doing more. I've just been focused on other things, but it's because just getting really set on what we are able to do well here is, I guess, the rewarding thing for me. Like I joke that, we're a bad customer when it comes to wholesalers. Like a lot of people want us to be a wholesale customer of theirs. And I'm like, hey, listen, guys, I'm the worst customer you've ever seen. I mean, like last year, I spent $13,000 on wholesale corals.
Wow.
Which, I mean, I know places that spend double that per week. And we spent that at the entire year. Like we're just not shopping in that way. So if I'm able to get maybe like 5 to 10 outstanding pieces a year that we can propagate long term, I'd be really happy with that. So going back to answer your question, a lot of our stuff is just super long term aquaculture stuff. Another example of that is apparently Fiji for a long time was unavailable to the market. Like they were not sending out from there. We weren't importing from there. I never noticed. So when they opened back up, I literally didn't buy anything from Fiji because I have stuff from Fiji from before they closed. So like the yellow Fiji leather, we still have that from 15 years back. Like we never lost Fiji as far as like I was concerned. So yeah, a lot of that stuff, just our ability just to have stuff that sticks around a really long time has been good for us.
I love hearing that you know, an import shutdown doesn't affect you at all. Like that is amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, like not to like talk completely out of school, but if literally every wholesaler in the United States bans me, it does not affect me at all.
That's a good business model. Very good business model. We've had this conversation before in the UK with a few of us about if a worldwide export-import ban came in tomorrow, this time next year or 2 years' time, how many shops would be in existence? You're probably thinking, I don't know, 4 or 5 max in the UK that haven't enough of a backup. And even then, it'd be a vastly reduced stock they've got because you can't keep everything, right? You can't propagate everything. You rely on stuff. So the fact that you can maintain a wholesale business without noticing an import ban for 5 or 6 years.
Actually, I'm retail. I'm retail, not wholesale.
Retail.
Sorry. Okay. Retail. Yeah. Right. Even so, to not notice a ban on something is just like, crikey. That's good. That's awesome.
It's the hard way to do it. But also, that does come at like a pretty significant like financial cost of opportunity cost, right? I mean, there's a lot of places that I'm sure have popped up fairly recently as far as like the timeline as far as I've been open and are probably doing way better sales, like no question. But it was never part of the ethos of the company. And it was never really part of the plan just to flip corals. So as long as like we're able to do what we are financially, that's kind of just what we want to continue to do.
Yeah, that's magic. Like really good, refreshing to hear. Like especially in today's sort of day and age, isn't it, where there's lots of murmurings of people trying to stop exotic pet trades and things like that. If you can prove it's all aquaculture stuff, sorry. Whereas the ethics conversation changes somewhat, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the aquaculture side, it feels like it has a diminishing return. You put so much time and effort and work and money and dedication into it, and then somebody comes in and they're flipping coral for less than what you're selling your aquaculture piece for, and it kind of it poops on it a little bit. It kind of I don't know. It devalues it in a way that the idea when people have behind it, but I do feel like the aquaculture is definitely the way to go.
Sort of. I think that what's lost on the general public, and this is kind of like what I've also tried to, I guess, infuse a little bit with the YouTube content that I put out. I sprinkle it in there, so it's kind of like low key hidden. But these are not the same product. Like you getting a recently imported chopped strawberry shortcake acropora and what a long-term aquacultured shortcake acropora, those are not similar. Like they're not remotely close creatures even. And there's a true hardship, as you said, about like what it takes to long-term aquaculture coral. And those like trials and tribulations really do reflect in the product. And I think that there's like a robustness to that. Like when we send out corals, like I'm pretty sure about how rock solid that stuff is now. Whereas like stuff that's recently chopped, it's kind of like a
janky.
Yeah. Well, look, as the odd one out in the room, I'm the only person here who's not a coral farmer, shall we say? As a consumer, I would be your customer. I don't know your sort of pricing model, but I would happily pay that premium for a long-term captive specimen than a mariculture piece that's been chopped up and glued onto a plug and out the door. Totally get that. And it's just that education piece you need to give people, as they are really not the same thing, right? Because even like every market you're in, if you're buying a car, that that Ford Fiesta for $1,000 isn't the same as that Ford Fiesta for $5,000 because the mileage is different, the engine's been looked after, and all the rest of it. So every business is that same ethos, right? You just got to educate the customer a little bit.
And that right there, I love, is that it's the culture that you create around the knowledge is something that is so needed and necessary in our hobby. Because, you know, you're, like you said, you know, it's lost on the average customer. And like we say, we you know, our thing is like TikTok. We get on there and, you know, vendors are a dime a dozen that can pop up and anybody can sell coral out of a 45-gallon lowboy. And, you know, we advocate heavily for aquaculture because, again, you're ethically taking care of the animal better. You're doing the hobby better. And you're creating a better culture around it versus just, you know, chopping up the animal and boop, right out the door.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, it's and this is something that also having like the YouTube channel where I've been, I guess, blessed to be able to travel to other places and see in other facilities and whatnot. Like there's a very low bar to entry to get into this business, right? Like as you said, anybody with like enough money for a Rubbermaid stock tank can start selling coral on a Shopify store very quickly, right? It does not take a lot. There's no like educational requirements or anything, right? But then you see like the very top end. And I'll just like put an example out there. De Jong Marine Life. I can only guess that might be a $50 to $100 million operation. I mean, it's astonishing, like the level of facilities that they have. And they're in the Netherlands. So imagine like plopping down a professional fish and coral campus in the middle of Manhattan. Like that's the level of like real estate cost that stuff is, right? It's insane, like clean rooms and stuff. And to see that there are levels to this, right? That sort of stuff is really appealing to me where to separate yourself from everybody else. Because if there always is this baseline, and I don't mean this derogatorily, but like a noise layer of people constantly coming in at a very like basement garage level. It is always like a much more difficult refuge to position yourself at the higher end of the market and to really try to like push envelopes and stuff like that. And it is nice to see that there is room at the upper end for like actual professional aquarists.
Yeah. Well, on the note of your long-term sort of aquaculturing operation, the buzzword of 2026 is obviously coral spawning. So is that something you've thought about dabbling with and perpetuating your SPS supply and creating your own Tidal Gardens genotypes and stuff?
So honestly, no. But that is not from a lack of desire to do the activity. Like, I've seen the people that do it. You know, obviously I know Jamie Craggs pretty well at this point. I've met the folks over at Reef in Germany, and they are doing like the coolest stuff, right? But if you're telling me that I have to wake up at like 11 to go look with like a red light strapped to my head and like check day after day after day for a spawning event, it's not happening. You know, it's not happening. It's so labor intensive to do that work. It takes a special breed. You practically have to live. I mean, I live in the same property as Tidal Gardens, and that's too much to ask. Like, you need to be living in the coral farm, ready to go. Like, pop off the couch and start, you know, collecting gametes and stuff like that. It's so crazy. But the guys over at Reef, they're spawning successfully Trichophilia. Astonishing. Yeah. Like, we can't even keep this stuff alive here, and they're like spawning it.
Wow.
Like, I would love to be able to do that, to be able to do that with Cinerina, with, you know, Homophilia australis, Australophilia, all that stuff.
You never know what's down the road.
you see it more as like an elitist hobbyist activity rather than a commercial activity then?
No, as opposite. I think it's like for top end commercial. Like I think you need to have a very high end staffing for that. I think that you need to have like, some pretty hardcore laboratory chops to do stuff like that. Oh no, it's involved. It's for sure involved. I don't know how many hobbyists can realistically pull that off. It's a lot.
Well, you're busy running a coral farm, and then you're talking about another full-time job of going into coral spawning, and you're only one person and so many hours in the day.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think that a lot of the stuff that's been really well documented is Acropora, and I think that any fast-growing SPS is a terrible candidate for commercial spawning.
Yes, absolutely.
Terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, I would never be like, let's spawn acros. Like, nah, never.
Yeah, because you can frag and grow easy enough, can't you? So
instantly, yeah. Even if it's
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, even if you come up with some quadruple chimera, incredible, swirled splice thing, that's 1 month away from being not special, just from propagation.
Absolutely. So my concern about the Acropora is that the offspring may not look like the parents.
Yeah. So that's again going kind of like more to the business side. There's some corals that are so cool, but they're not good products.
Yeah.
So, for example, we have like these like tri-colored, for lack of a better word, like spliced chalices. So you might get like cool 50-50 splits and stuff like that with the different galaxy swirls and whatnot. Terrible product, because people want that 50-50 split every single time, and that's just not what these animals do. We also have like these anemones, those Nexus burst bubble tips, right? And their big thing is they can be like half orange and green. The person that's buying that product is also the one that's going to count the tentacles and complain.
You get those too.
Cool anemone, bad product.
Right.
Which, again, going back to the acros, is like that's the whole point of those cool captively spawned acros, is that you're getting these crazy, unnatural, literally unnatural mixes. It's like, well, mixed corals, you're inviting like headaches on the consumer level.
Yeah.
I even doubt those colorful acro can give colorful offspring.
Well,
They're
a lot
just
of them
like
are different
breeding,
animals. Well, a lot of them are literally like chimeras. So there's 4 animals sharing the same body. So if you get the wrong cutting, it's 2 or 3 different animals, not all 4. So it could be weird.
But if you go through spawning, and then you can lose all the colorful stuff. Yeah, seriously.
There's a lot of other factors, isn't there? Like environment, lighting, nutrient, all the rest of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of other factors affecting like Acropora when they grow up. Because that genetically they can express all this color. But how they choose to express the color, that's an environmental factor.
Right, but I don't know if that's necessarily an issue with spawned acros. I think that's just acros, period, right? Like you sell somebody a Walt Disney and then they show you a picture under daylights and it doesn't look good a day after shipping. Like, it's going to look pretty bad. I agree. I promise you that's not what it looked like when it left here. Give it a few months in like a good aquarium. It'll be... Anyway.
But I may have apologies for that question, because I may have missed the point. I put 2 and 2 together, and you mentioned Jamie Craggs, and Jamie Craggs obviously spawns urchins to assist in his coral propagation side of things, that to just eat the right amount of algae for the plugs for settlement and things. So I just assumed that might have been what he was doing with the urchins, but we'll park that because that's going to be another topic for another day. But that is interesting though. Well, on the same sort of vibe of creating corals and chimeras and stuff, have Tidal Gardens ever have you got anything unique that you've named, and how do you sit with all these fancy names these days, and as a marketing ploy?
So I'm very disconnected when it comes to that, because like I've been doing this business now for over 20 years, and I am completely out of creativity when it comes to that. I would love for everything that we have to have established names outside of these four walls, right? Because I would love for other people to be on Google searching for a particular coral and finding it Tidal Gardens, not for us to independently brand every single coral that we have and name it something different for the sake of being different. Yeah. Occasionally, we have to name our stuff just because we can't find something else out there. And our names suck. Like, they're just not any good. But also, I have nothing to do with it because I don't care. I do have to say that there's one element of the naming convention where it's both confusing but also oddly necessary, because of what Dong was saying earlier about how like these corals express different phenotypes just based on their conditions and how they're looking now. Like sometimes we'll have a stock item and it will look a certain way, and it absolutely did look like that. But what we have currently does not look like that. You cannot sell it as that because you're going to run into complaints. It does not look like the picture because it doesn't. So we now have to make the strategic and executive decision. Do we make another product calling it something else with updated photography, with a completely different name, knowing full well genetically it is that other thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Both of these things in some way, shape, or form might give you a headache in the future.
Yeah. Yes.
What is the best for the consumer? I actually don't know. Like, there might not be anything I can do to make that coral revert back to its previous coloration. The new coloration might be better. It might be way cooler. So, but it is absolutely 100% the same thing. But again, it's like it's now two different products.
Call it the same thing and tell the story of it.
Well, just like one guy I know that's several years ago. So he has been buying. He likes certain type of acro. He has been buying the thing that he like from different vendors. And then after 1 year, he told me he has a tank full of red planet. They're all identical after 1 year. They look all the same. Yeah.
I've had an experience like that, very similar. I was collecting a Florida Recordia at one time. And, so if you're unfamiliar with Florida Recordia, there's not a ton of different colors. There's like the orangish ones, there's the greenish ones, there's the bluish ones. So I went to some this is like years ago, over 10 years ago. I went to this guy's house and he had like the most velvety purple ones. I'm like, that's cool. That's really interesting and different. So I bought a few from him, brought it back to my tank. And sure enough, velvety purple, clearly not anything that I had. After about 2 months, it's blue. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, wow. Exactly. Yeah. So that bring up that. Sorry about Jamie. Go ahead.
No, I was only going to throw a snippet in saying you've also got the thing about. I'll give you an example. If this coral here is just a blue stag, but when I bought the frag, it was about that big and it had a toxic green sort of growth tip, and it was called some fancy name like toxic blue stag, something like that. Really, really cool. It looked lovely and punchy. So I had to buy it, and it was beautiful. And now I've just got a big cluster ball of it, which is browny blue with just tiny green tips on it. So the frag looked amazing, but that's only the very tip of the growth was that color. So you can't buy a frag and think that whole colony is going to look like that magic thing you've just seen in the tent.
Yeah, a lot of frags, they are a lot of corals. Period. They're macro kings, right? They look incredible as frags under macro photography, but in your aquarium, it's just not going to look like that. A lot of that detail, that crazy subtle highlights on individual polyps of an SPS are so cool, but only up close. And like as somebody that's approaching 50, where I'm like my vision is dropping off, tiny little minute details on SPS polyps, that's not something I need to be looking for these days.
Yeah, or if you have to wear orange glasses to see it.
Yeah.
There's one guy who is a mechanical engineer. That he also he used to be my customer when he was in a hobby. So he proposed to me one thing. He said he can build me a system with a camera on the rack that can run around the frac tank and taking a close-up photo and project it onto the screen, a big TV. Then people can buy coral on the TV instead of looking at the frac themselves. Yeah, because they can see all these macro shots, and even put an orange filter on it, even better. So the people looking, oh my God, look at the TV. I want that coral. And then he even said, well, he will have another automatic system and go there and grab that coral out and to dip it and package it and give it to customers. Oh no! I said, how much would this thing cost? I said, close to
500,000.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. That's what it is. You have $500,000 for that automated system. Oh, okay. Well, I said, well, then the problem is that when people shopping online, they look at photos, okay? But when they actually get the coral, they actually look at the coral. They said, it looks different. So that's why when people come into my place, I said, well, I cannot Photoshop the tank. I am not going to give you orange glass. What you see is what you get. You look at them under the regular lighting, and you buy the coral because you like it and no complaint. So for all this year, I never hear about one complaint about, oh, the coral doesn't look like what you sold me.
That's the worst. That's the worst headache email to get.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Well, I think in fairness to Tidal Gardens, I indulge quite a bit looking at American coral sites because I just like to look at stuff I can't have, obviously. And fairness to Tidal Gardens, you do both, don't you? You photograph under blues and under whites and give the customer a bit of a spectrum of what they can see. So there's no like sheepishness to it.
Right. And then we've also even done a thing where we do like a progressive color slide. So like if you look at on the website, there's like a lighting section. And, we talk about like a lighting recommendation. For a lot of corals, there's also like a transition graphic that shows like going from like pure actinic to pure daylight. And it's like, it's not perfect, but it'll give you an idea of what that change will look like. And a lot of that stuff is to avoid specifically that issue of people complaining about it doesn't look like that in my tank.
You want to like temper people's expectations because if you overdo it, you oversaturate it, they get it, they're like, what the heck is this? And so it's like finding that balance of when like you take your picture of not making it, you want to keep it as natural as possible without making it look like whoa, because when they get it, I want them to look at it and say, no, that's pretty right,
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like we're very, very fortunate to be at a place where I would much rather somebody not place the order than place the order and then give me a headache about it later. That's not a difficult decision on my part.
Yeah, I think it's an education thing again, because high-end SPS keepers will know that if I buy a coral frag and even transport it half an hour home from the LFS, it might take 3 months to regain its shine, like how it should be. Out of the bag, it's never going to be its full glory when it was in a settled state in an aquarium somewhere else. But some people new to the hobby don't know that. Everything in this world now is instant gratification. I want that. I want it now. And it's got to look how it looks. It doesn't happen in this hobby. If it teaches you one thing, it's patience. And I even like going to shops and buying brown acros in the sort of cheap tray because I know I can get something out of them. I like that challenge. I'll spot something that's on the cheap if I like, and I'll take the challenge on. I'll make it pink again.
I haven't done that in forever, but I do remember doing that like when I was in my hobbyist days, and that was always like it's almost like you never know what you're gonna get. Right? There's like a fun in that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't hear about too many people doing that these days, though. I think there too many people are worried about like bringing in like pests and diseases and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there's new ones coming up.
Yeah.
So, Than, are you still having the sunlight greenhouse?
So the greenhouse is there, but I would say that every year it becomes less and less and less of a greenhouse. So, within the next 5 years, I'm going to go ahead and guess that there's going to be no sunlight penetrating that building. It's just becoming a more conventional building over time.
So do you see the sunlight actually grow coral much, much better than artificial lighting?
No, at least not in Ohio, because
Okay.
the difference between summer and winter sun is so dramatically different.
Yeah.
That it basically, like when it was like, I would say like 90% greenhouse and only 10% artificial light, we could sell acros for maybe 2 months out of the year, and that was like at the end of winter. Because the entire rest of the year they would be brown. That's just how they were, right? Like even just getting into spring versus summer, that's 5 times the light. Getting into like summer, that's like 10 times the light. And so you're going through these like different heat and light cycles, and the acros themselves are healthy, but the coloration is only peak for 2 months out of the year. And if you don't sell them in those 2 months, they're going to be brown again. And so like the consistency of artificial light is, for a business, way better.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And I think that I think growth is overrated.
Okay.
It makes sense for people that are buying frags and they want them to grow into a modest sized showpiece in your aquarium. That's a perfectly good reason to want to have growth. I think that there's a place where, as a commercial facility, rampant growth is a terrible problem to have. Like there's certain corals, there's many corals here that their growth liability, where like and it's not even like, oh, you just need to price it lower. It's like there's no price low enough for some of this stuff.
You can't give it away. It grows too fast.
You can't give it away. And so so we are close to eye-catching coral. We're about an hour away. They're a very, very, very big wholesaler.
Right.
Yeah.
We do a lot of business with them. And in fact, they buy substantially more from us than we buy from them, meaning that we have to sell for a price low enough that they can sell to their commercial customers to make a profit.
Wholesale.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I'm charging less than importer for some of the stuff that I'm selling them, only because I physically need to recollect space out of my systems. Like that is the degree of growth that is possible when you have a modicum of success. And it's like you need to find a home for some of this stuff, and it's really challenging. When a facility as big as eye-catching coral struggles to handle your volume, you have a problem with growth.
Okay. Yeah.
It's that thing I don't like. I have, obviously not on the same scale, but I have problems in my frag system to the left of me here that I've got a load of rubbish coral, if you like, but I don't like throwing healthy coral away. So I end up accumulating things like Monty Hirsuta, Monty Cap, Forest Fire Digi, all this easy to grow stuff, which realistically I can't always give it away, but I just don't want to put it in the bin. There's something innate inside me that I've grown this stuff. I'm proud of it. I don't want to dispose of it, so I end up with loads of it.
There's actually a couple of things with that. So first of all, at least you can throw away a Monty, right? I mean, it feels awful, but you can do it. Right. There are certain things you kind of can't throw away. Something like pallies that are stuck to your glass. Pallies that are not even stuck to your glass. They're stuck to the side of a Rubbermaid stock tank. You can't even scrape it with a razor blade cleanly.
Yes.
Right.
Like now you've got a problem. And if your idea was, I'm just going to ask my employee to do that, buddy,
that's a liability.
no, you're not. This is going to come down to the owner. So like, am I going to risk my life to try to get rid of some of this stuff? So we've been trying to do like biological warfare with some of this. So we found out that like if you put Galaxia colonies right next to pallies, they'll kill the pallies. And I've even gone as far as to think like maybe like these starfish that people are so worried about can just safely eat some of these zoas in a separate aquarium. Like we just need an execution chamber for like overgrowth.
Have you found
like rocks this big that are covered edge to edge in like a type of zoa, which is a very nice zoa. I would love to sell you guys more, sort of thing, right? Realistically, it has grown too fast, and I don't have one of these rocks. I have 15 of them. And so now like I could literally fill an entire tank and put in like a crown of thorns starfish and call it a day. Like that's the sort of stuff that I'm thinking going through my head, just to safely remove this from my systems.
You might start farming Astrea starfish to help your harlequins out, and there you go. And in the meantime, they could eat all your zoas down.
They don't eat my zoas. Like I've got the good ones.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That just take care of my algae to like an amazing degree, and they don't bother like my corals, unfortunately.
Every once in a while, I'll see those bad ones, and they'll like jump on, mostly on zoas I'll see, but every once in a while I might catch them like bunching on an SPS or something, but it's a specific color. They almost look like they have like little dots.
Darker.
Yeah.
Sometimes these sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Don. Go on, you go, Don.
What I found is that I have a Heliochus butterfly fish, and that guy wipe out any zoensis apalli in that tank, like forever. Anything that if I have a piece of rock, a zoensis I want to get rid of, apalli, I just toss into that tank, and then he just clean it up. Yeah, and also I have a filefish that eats xenia. That's my oh my goodness, that's my best filefish.
It's so funny how like the entire discussion of pests transitions to corals that grow too fast or suddenly in the category now, like previously nobody would ever say xenia was a pest, like, at least not 20 years ago, like people and people still buy xenia from me, so I shouldn't even say that, but we're at the point, like I heard on another podcast where somebody was saying that like Montipora eating nudibranchs is a blessing.
Really?
Because he needs something to take care of Montipora growing too much.
Wow.
Why don't you just take him out? Take it out, just instead of
because like Montipora eating nudibranchs are really bad, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much easier to rip it and break a chunk.
Sometimes these discussions just flow so naturally. I haven't even got to do any work here. So this is a perfect time. One of the questions I had for you was companion animals. So what's your sort of go-to companion critters and fish for your systems?
Yeah, okay. So I like a lot of the stuff that eats bugs and then eats algae. So stuff like wrasses that don't jump. In particular, I like Melanaris wrasses. I like six lines to a small degree. Timor wrasses I like a lot, and the possum wrasses. I would say that like that collection of wrasses, and maybe like a leopard if you can like find a healthy one, which can be pretty challenging from what I understand. But if you can find like that little wrasse army that don't fight and don't jump, because we have wide open tanks, we don't cover our tanks, right? We have to constantly be able to get into them. So like those have worked out really nicely for us. Then occasionally I do like Springer's damsels, Springeri.
Yes.
However, those wrasses plus that Springer's also kind of closes the door if you want to then use Bergia nudibranchs to control Aptasia.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Like a lot of that stuff really does a good job eating the one good nudibranch you want to put in your system, right? This is how it goes.
It's like filet mignon.
Yeah, $30 every single one.
Yeah, exactly.
Eating better than I am. I like copper band butterflies. And for an FPS only tank, I really like those things called stripies. We got one stripy, and it's like that's a pretty impressive little fish there.
Oh, they're cool. They got cool personalities too.
Yeah. And they ate, that thing took care of, like, I think in the first month it must have eaten like 1,000 Aptasia or something. It was really impressive. But from what I understand, you can't keep them with LPS. So for like an SPS only, like stripy. I also like a single fox face. I learned that early on you can keep multiple fox faces, and then one day one will decide to murder the others. So one fox face, and I struggle a lot with tangs. I think they're good, but I think that they also run into like these aggression issues once they hit a certain age, and they can be kind of troublesome. We have a lot of tangs, and so we do the mix of like 3 different genera. So it'll be like the bristletooth plus a zebrasoma plus a naso, and we'll rock that for a while. They do a pretty good job, I think, of controlling like macroalgae specifically. So things like that. I would say that covers like the majority of the bases. And I think one other thing that I would probably add is, if you have a system large enough, is a mandarin, because there's a lot of tiny crustaceans that most of the time they behave. Some of the time they can really start to mess with corals that, if they start to decline, those amphipods and copepods will accelerate that problem. And so it's nice to have like a positive predator pressure on that, and mandarins do a good job with that.
Okay. You didn't mention any invertebrates in that.
Oh, I was just talking about that. Okay, so as far as inverts, we've moved away from snails, specifically because snails are huge pest magnets. Some of them are just annoying, like whenever you make an order for, let's say, Astrea snails, they will always come with like the little red planaria that are on your glass. Like you might have no planaria issues. You bring in an order of Astrias, now you have planaria. You can't dip snails. You dip the snail, you kill the snail. You can't like do a lot with even scrubbing them and stuff. Like, snails coming in are highly stressed, and they're at huge risk of dying. You just kind of have to put them in. So you're going to run into like a lot of issues. So the annoying one is planaria. They also come with like pyramid snails. So they're like, it's like a parasitic snail that's on them. You have clams. Now you don't have clams. And then what's really bad is you can get these polyclad flatworms that are like this big. And those eat other snails. So once you get those into your tank, like they will lay 1,000 eggs, and one day you will like flip over a tile or like flip over a colony of acro, and you will see the biggest flatworm of your life. And those things make routine meals of other snails. So as a facility, we no longer do herbivorous snails. We do bumblebee snails, because giant flatworm predators don't eat those guys. And those bumblebees also like to eat snails. So in trying to like deal with vermitid snails, which by the way, bumblebees do a very good job with, they will also put positive predator pressure on your Astrias and your Trochus and stuff like that eventually, and your turbos eventually. So to kind of like separate out the herbivores from like the pest guys, going to tuxedo urchins and bumblebees kind of like really elegantly splits those two. Then no crustaceans, because every now and again we need to bug bomb our tanks with milbomycin, And so every single time, like your cleaner shrimp, your peppermint shrimp, your emerald crabs, hermit crabs, which I never like to begin with, they will get stomped out every single time that you do milbomycin, because the earlier doses of milbomycin that might have worked no longer do. So now people have to do these really extreme doses of milbomycin, which is the interceptor, for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about. That stuff is like pretty darn toxic at those 4 or 5x levels. And so every single time I do that on a 3,000 gallon system, let's say, I don't want to have lost, I don't know, $1,000 also worth of inverts every single time. So, and it's also like terrible to watch. Like you know, we always try to like catch all the different inverts, and there's always like a pair of cleaner shrimp that will just hide. And it's like, I can't catch you.
Yeah.
Now you die, right? It's awful.
I know, you feel so bad afterwards.
Yeah. So again, separate that out. So now I can, with a very clear conscience, nuke that tank for crustaceans, because I don't care about copepods and amphipods. I just don't.
So the question, because you mentioned the copepods, I know it kills the copepods, and you mentioned you have your mandarins in there. Do you supplement your mandarins with copepods in the meantime until they come back? Or
weirdly, no. And they're fine. Yeah, completely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, unexpected. But I think here's why. There are certain crustaceans that you want to get rid of, that I want to get rid of, that don't care about interceptor. So, like,
fair enough.
Their biology is such that they can protect themselves from the water. Like, they can just make tunnels, close the lid, and they'll come back later. And they will survive. They'll survive a 5x dose of interceptor, and you'll just have them forever. Like, they survive freshwater. They survive everything.
Interesting. So yeah, that was one of the things I've always wanted a mandarin, but I treat my systems with milbomycin, and I just didn't want to starve them out of the tanks, because you know I noticed that the copepods do come back, the population comes back, and it's not totally wiped out, but you know I was always afraid of starving them. So that's thank you. That was good.
And you probably have systems large enough, because like I think that, I mean, having said what I just said, I am talking about my smaller systems. They're made up of 300 gallon tanks. Not a ton of rock, so it can be done, clearly.
Right.
Yeah, it's not something I contend with. We don't get antibiotics over the counter over in the UK, so we're up the wall with it, really. But it's interesting.
So milbomycin it's not over the counter here. You need to have you need to have a prescription. Usually what people do is they just talk to their local vet, and it gets like tacked on to whatever animal that they already have. Oh, it's like Fluffy, the German Shepherd. Sure, you get some interceptor, right? But if you're operating at like a coral farm level, or even like a store level, you're working with like trafficking levels of this stuff.
Yes.
At that point, what you really should do is to make the vet understand your operation. They will probably want to make a site visit, make the prescription for that purpose, and you will pay way more for it at that point. But it is way better to do that than to have the FDA raid your place for trafficking. So like, I think I pay maybe 50% over what should be market to do it clean.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot. It's thousands. Yeah.
We'll talk on the backside, then. I might have something for you. So
okay.
What's your chat? Yeah. have you
anybody want to borrow my cats?
Lots of cats.
Yeah, I got 4.
Have you dabbled with benzimidazole at all?
I'm scared to. I literally have, again, prescription dose sitting on my shelf that I have not messed with. I don't know if there's like a really well published dosing for that.
Yes.
And I don't know what else it might kill. and we don't have like tiny systems that we can test that stuff on. So we kind of have to do it on a big system if we wanted to test it.
What I found, GSP, leather corals, xenia, it'll wipe it all out. It will wipe out acro-eating flatworms, but I believe, and there was somebody that did a little post on Humblefish that they showed that it actually penetrates the eggs as well. So it is a good. I've used it before. Now we've done it with the actual fish flakes, which, you know, when everybody found out about it, it got sold out. Weren't we talking with Corey from White Corals? He was saying that he actually has the concentrated dose of what you need, but it's such a extremely small amount that you got to be very careful with it, or else you're
That's what I ran into, because like I've got the very sketchy baggie of it.
Yeah.
I buy it in grams, right? But again, it was like I was just really scared. And the thing is, like, we don't have an analytical scale here. Like we have like lab equipment, but we don't have an analytical scale. So your regular scale, if you're working with pure, it doesn't go down to that other decimal point that you need.
Yeah, right.
You need to be working with like super tiny amounts. Otherwise, like you might overdose your entire system with fenbendazole. It's like I ain't messing with that. So it's literally been 2 years that's been sitting on my shelf, not doing anything.
It'll kill your snails too if you overdose as well. So I've played around in my quarantine, and that was my learning experience. That's why I don't run any more snails in the quarantine. I only run a fox face and a bristle tooth, and somehow a Molly Miller blending ended up in there. And so, but if you overdose, it'll knock your snails out as well. They'll get drowsy and they'll start falling out.
I would love to be able to whole system treat for acro-eating flatworms. They're so annoying.
Like I said, we'll talk, because I've done it before. It works, and realistically, with the flakes that we have, it's such a small amount that's realistically needed. And I don't know if it just sits in the system for a long time and kind of spreads out. I don't know if I guess from my understanding, the flatworm either absorbs it or the egg absorbs it. So I was wondering if it was the coral that absorbs it, and when they're munching on it, they're getting it in, but somehow they're intaking it and it's knocking them out in tank.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like a good way to even like set up a test for that. Like even if it's like blending up acros and seeing if there's like fenbendazole in it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, there'll be sacrifice the few to benefit the many, I guess, that take on it, right? But if you do develop a marketable thing, Than, I think we can call you Than Escobar, right? You're going to be dealing in volume.
Prescriptions for all of this, guys. Prescriptions for all of
it. Saving the world. No, it's the thing. So you mentioned earlier about you don't import or bring in much new coral into your facility. So by and large, could I assume that pests aren't a regular occurrence, or do you have
at scale
things? Or?
No, at scale you'll always deal with it. It is just one of those things. Like pests are pests because they're really, really good at what they do. Where I think that people like don't quite understand, at least on the retail side, is that like the idea of like being pest free, I think is like very flowery marketing stuff. Because I have seen places that are, for lack of a better word, cost no object in like the 8-figure range. Wow. And they have actual clean rooms. They have actual processes. They have real deal ability to do this right. And you look at their tanks and they have Aptasia, they have remitted snails, they have zoanthid eating spiders, they have everything. Everything made it through. And it's like, this is like a reality that people should realize, that like even if you found a vendor miraculously that's able to completely eradicate everything, it's like, but you will eventually introduce something, because it's like you don't have a clean room, you don't have most people don't have a quarantine tank. Like all the people that out there that are so into like these They want to find a vendor that they can kind of like offload this activity to. They don't have quarantine tanks, and you're gonna get something. I promise you're gonna get something. These critters are so good at what they do. Like you have no idea. So I think that what a successful scale facility has to be able to do is to manage these issues, because some of these issues are so bad that if you have them and it really gets out of hand, you basically don't have product to sell. Like if you have Euphilia eating flatworms, what that really means on a long enough timeline is you don't have Euphilia. Like it's that bad. Like you simply can't have torches if you have these flatworms, right? To a lesser degree, like acro eating flatworms, I mean, at least that's slightly controllable. But if you let that go rampant, it'll kill all of your acros, right?
Yep.
So a successful long-term farm, I think by definition has stuff under control, but they probably also literally have everything that you're worried about, because it is so much more difficult to handle this at scale than it is at a hobbyist, or even like somebody like Terrell, like that's like a one-man operation. There comes a point where like now you need people, and now you need that to help with that scale. At that point, like dealing with a lot of these intake issues becomes crazy difficult. And this is coming from somebody that doesn't import like at all, zero import. I do work with wholesalers that import, and as I mentioned, I am a very bad customer. So for those operations that are big, that are also bringing in crap tons of coral, if you tell me that you don't have pests, I'm afraid I just don't have that level of stupidity in me to believe that. Like that's just not a thing. Like absolutely impossible. Because again, I've seen other places that honestly do it a million times better, and they have all these issues.
I think that's a really good thing to know. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, one thing I was sort of thinking, and Acro Killers beat me to it, is the problem he thinks is that we treat our corals with so many meds and stuff that over time, do they actually become weak? Do they lose their natural defenses? You know, much like the way if you grew up in a sterile environment, I think of like the Amazon tribes that were never contacted by outer world, and they all died from influenza when we found them. Like,
could be some
does that sort of thing happen? You know?
Well, possible. There's no way for me to really tell, but I can tell you that the pests that people are worried about get way stronger over time. So, for example, the treatments that used to deal with flatworms in general, like before, you could use levamisole. Levamisole used to be the nuclear option. It would obliterate everything in your tank. Like it would kill every copepod, every amphipod, every flatworm in your tank, guaranteed, no doubt, no problem, right? A lot of stuff can survive levamisole now. It's been decades, but a lot of stuff survives levamisole.
So that is the sulfur flatworm exit, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Okay.
So I've talked to Habib over, when I visited Europe, and I was like, it's levamisole, right? And then he was cagey about it, but it's like it probably is like, but even you getting like pure levamisole, a lot of flatworms now can tolerate it. Obviously, many of them die, but to a much lesser degree. Okay, a little joke. For a while, it was very difficult to get levamisole because it turns out that the drug trade uses it to cut cocaine with. So if you wanted to step on your cocaine, you do it with levamisole.
Escobar.
So one time I actually bought some off of eBay, some levamisole off of eBay. And it's been a while since we've used levamisole to try to treat for flatworms. And we used it, and these flatworms did not care. And so I'm like, looking at my staff thinking, did we just buy Coke off of eBay? Because this was not levamisole.
They're all buzzing around.
Yeah.
But going back to the point about the critters getting stronger, like the fact that you have to use a 5x dose sometimes to deal with certain bugs of interceptors, like that's crazy, right? Like red bug treatment used to be the 1x dose. Now that 1x dose doesn't kill red bugs. So stuff like that. But just something recently, we have this SPS show tank that I kind of hate because it's, I don't know, I dislike my show tanks. Anyway, we just put in on some new lights, and these new lights, the default is very white. And when you have like a very white looking tank, kind of like what Dong has in the background there, like that white color, your problems can't hide under white light. Like blue light is very flattering. It hides all your problems, right?
Yeah.
But under white light is where you see like all your issues. So it has occurred to me that because I'm working on getting such good herbivores, if you have herbivores doing their job really well for years, basically what you've created is a blank canvas for a better algae. And so now we're growing algae that no herbivore wants to touch, that is immune to fluconazole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fluconazole,
Yeah.
Immune.
Really?
Yeah. So like
Wow.
fluconazole will kill like ulva and stuff. It doesn't kill codium.
Yeah, we're just giving it a perfect environment.
Yeah. So you've created this vacuum of opportunity, and something is going to fill that vacuum. So right now, it's codium. Like the fish won't eat it, the urchins won't eat it, the remaining snails that we have obviously won't eat it. I've looked up every crab, even though we don't do crustaceans. Nobody is even saying, like, people are talking about like pithos crabs as being like these great herbivores.
Yeah.
If you look at the list of what they eat, codium noticeably absent, you know? So luckily, at least for the short term, for the near term, people still like codium for macroalgae specific tanks. So I'm selling it out of my SPS show tank. People want to purchase it. So I'm the herbivore now.
Codium's like the
that's awesome.
it's like the Japanese knotweed of the horticultural world. It looks amazing, but it's the most invasive thing you can get. It destroys everything.
No, it's not even necessarily invasive. It's just I've killed everything else. Like there's no coralline left. Like the urchins have eaten all that. It's just what now you've run into a super plant basically.
Yeah. Well, touching on the quarantine thing, like I'm as a consumer, I see some facilities selling coral and advertising. They all come from fish-free tanks as like pest control sort of avenue, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to buy them because they're going to go in a tank full of fish at my end. Like I want them hardened off and used to that nutrient and all that sort of stuff. And one of the ideas, to go off on a little tangent, I won't claim it as my own. Paul Hughes sort of gave me the idea. He goes, because I've got a 6-foot system this way, which all of these fish have been through. I know that system has had spot in it because I had a powder blue, and obviously they come free with white spot, right? So I know that system has had white spot in it. So every fish that goes in here, I put through that system to sort of reverse quarantine it, expose it to everything in that system before it goes in here. So I want to give it exposure to the nasties, any parasites and stuff, because I think every tank, especially a live rock-based tank, will have a parasitic background level as a natural ecosystem would. And they only really show and infect on a stressed animal. A healthy animal can fight them off, the right diet, all the rest of it. So, that's my method, is anti-sterile quarantine. I put them through a system I know has got problems or had problems. Maybe that doesn't work as well with coral, perhaps. You don't want to purposely give your coral a pest, but certainly for fish, I think that's not bad practice.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of different philosophies as far as that goes. I'm definitely not a fish person. So for the fish specialists out there, definitely take their advice over mine. I mean, I would expect that if we had some crazy, like weird fluctuation of some sort, that our tangs would show some white spot. Like that, I think that's pretty much par for the course. I also expect them to recover really fast because, I mean, like unfortunately, none of you guys have like come and visited here before, but our fish are like super fat and super healthy, and they get overfed. And like we do pay attention to fish nutrition, and I think that like if you are able to provide a relatively stress-free environment for them with really good nutrition, they can fight off a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also just the idea, because I've heard the thing before where like people do ask every now and again, and it's so weird to me, do your corals come from fish-free systems? And I'm like, this is like asking me about like the Easter Bunny type stuff. Like, nobody does that. Like, where are people hearing this? Like, no coral farmer I know of would ever do that. Like the benefit of fish is so positive to specifically grow a fish-free system. Like, are you just trying to do it in hard mode? Like, what is this?
Amen. Absolutely. We've got a couple of retailers I can think of in the UK that push that narrative. It's fish-free systems, and I totally couldn't agree more. Why? Doesn't benefit me or anyone or the corals in the slightest.
It's inviting coral problems. Like fish do some very good work around these tanks.
So there's
I actually want the opposite. I try to jam as much fish as possible in my tanks, because the fish feed the coral, clean the tank. They are my employees. But they don't need life health insurance. I just feed them well. That's good enough.
My fish have HR problems. They fight a lot, and then when they start killing each other, now my actual W-2 employees get bummed out watching these fish murder each other. So I'm like a fish minimalist.
I'm with you though. I've always been on the idea of like ick, white spot, it's it. I've always been on ick management versus ick eradication, and I believe like it's like an immune system. If you feed your fish fat enough, they're going to have a healthy enough immune system to fight it off. And you can manage it in other ways, but generally, make them healthy. And then the other thing you mentioned too, thinking about like the pests and the quarantine, I think that right there is really important info, because I think everybody in this hobby wants this like all or nothing answer. Like, is it pest free? And, I'm not going to get anything if I put it in my tank and don't dip it. And it's like, look, man, you got to still realize that these are still animals. Like you said, pests are good at being pests for a reason. And there's still a degree of responsibility every step of the way. You're doing your best, but at scale, stuff does slip through. I've had stuff slip through in the past, and all that's done on my level is I learn about it. I try to beat it, and then I can teach that next level down. Like, hey, this is what to look for with it.
Yeah. And again, I say it is from no lack of effort. So the small amount that we bring in, it goes through a pre-screening for a couple of weeks in a Rubbermaid, where, I mean, it gets dipped going into the Rubbermaid. It gets observed in the Rubbermaid, and that Rubbermaid has full filtration, lighting, chemical filtration, the works. And that is even stuff that's not necessarily even going to go into the farm. That's like a scully that we're just going to flip eventually. Still goes through that intake process there. To get out of there, gets dipped again. And for what does actually go through our full quarantine to get into our main systems, spend 72 days in separate quarantine with a dipping schedule, okay? And this is all getting replugged multiple times, blah, 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 blah. Multiple treatments. It's going to get interceptor in the small quarantine and everything, okay? Stuff makes it through. So
Yeah.
if you're not trying as hard as me, I don't want to hear about like clean, whatever. But also, like when people look at our systems, you would never, ever suspect that there is a problem, because realistically, there's not a problem.
Right.
But to say that like you have completely clean systems is some crazy talk to me.
Mhm. So how about ciliate? Because that I listened to one of your episodes, you were talking about that. I'm really interesting to hear from you more about that.
Yeah. Okay. So for the people that don't know, ciliates is the broadest category imaginable for organisms. You know how chalice corals are like, you know, like 5 different, you know, not even 5, like 20 different genera of corals, right? Ciliates crosses like 3 different kingdoms. Like it could be very different depending on what you're actually looking at. So there are a lot of publications showing that certain ciliates are absolutely fine. Certain ciliates are absolutely unhealthy and damaging. And then there's another population entirely that could be completely fine until they're not. And suddenly they go from, you know, peaceful members of the microbiome of the coral to like, I need to eat every bit of calories I can. I'm going to kill this coral instantly overnight, right? So I'm very fortunate that I've got a photographer on staff, and she's been with me now ever since like 2020. So did not start in this hobby, but now has seen so many different types of corals under so many different situations, that her process of shooting corals for us is also a diagnostic for us seeing stuff at super macro magnifications. So oftentimes she'll be like, hey, I saw a ciliate in this system on this coral. And then all of us like, you know, like whip our heads around and we start dipping. But it's like, it's constant, you know, auditing of what we already have. Because guys, like you can't see ciliates with your eyes. Yeah. They are literally microscopic. So, but oftentimes like we can just, you can see like the shadow of ciliates. So it's like, there's this goni that's closed up. I wonder why. I don't have to wonder why. It's got ciliates. And we can double check it. And sure enough, there's ciliates there. Dip it in Coral RX. It's going to get better over the course of 3 weeks. That sort of thing. And so a lot of like what I just mentioned, where certain things are fine until they're not fine. Like even with something like brown jelly, it's like a mix of bacteria and protozoa and stuff like that, and ciliates. Yeah. If you derail like 1 or 2 of those things, the brown jelly doesn't happen. So oftentimes, like if we catch something looking suspicious, we are very proactive about dipping something and then double checking to make sure that issue went away. And that really has knocked down the number of issues that we see where like we're losing coral over it. Because you just need to knock out a couple of those, like the legs of the stool, you know, like it won't turn into like the full-blown crash if you could just knock a couple of those things out.
So does potassium chloride works on ciliate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're now very comfortable with a lot of before and after footage of potassium chloride killing and completely eradicating those.
Do you have a specific dosage that you use? I've used like 1 to 3 tablespoons per gallon, but like I 3 tablespoons per gallon.
So the guys would know better on the actual good dosage. I eyeball it.
That works. Now, another interesting question. I remember you mentioning, you know, you had the issues with your ACAM, you know, and you said that they were doing, you know, it had issues in other tanks, and I saw where you got them in that other tank with all the, you know, just kind of located in there. Do you feel like ciliates maybe were part of that issue, or is that a bigger biome issue, you know, being located with?
It's possible. I'm not entirely sure, because like whenever we got like a lot of footage of them when they're healthy, they're completely clean, and when they start to die, it's a party. Everything is there. Like stuff that I've never seen before is suddenly there. And it's like, well, which of you guys were, the instigator and which of you guys are the cleanup, right? Because like when corals die, like your cleanup crew goes into overdrive and like just immediately starts to eat all that rotting flesh, right? So, and sometimes maybe that's part of the problem is that they're too aggressive, right? And they're killing an otherwise alive coral. So it's really difficult to tell like what the initial causes were, but definitely like aggressive dipping plus isolation was really, really helpful. And then I screwed it up because then I put it into like this cursed aquarium that's now a full-on TI crisis bloom. Yeah.
Were you finding that they were like acting weird? Because I asked because I've been having this issue with my acans for a while, and they act very strange because it's almost like, they get fluffy and then all of a sudden they'll kind of scrunch in from the outside and then kind of come in like that. And you'll start seeing the actual skeleton where, it splits up between polyps. And so I'm trying to isolate where it is. I know I've had water quality issues, but I've, listened to your thing before, and that's also been in the back of my mind.
Honestly, what I would do is I would also suspect algae. Like algae loves to try to outcompete weak bases of stony corals, as you probably know. So that's why I like to now try to do both a dip in the potassium chloride, but also mix in hydrogen peroxide. Because like the hydrogen peroxide, I'm surprised at how well coral tolerate that. Because I've like used freak out dosages of that where literally like bubbles are like happening inside the animal and stuff. And the next day it's fine. It's as if nothing happened, but all the algae around it's dead. And damn near everything else that was bothering it's probably dead too, between like the potassium chloride as well as the oxidation. And I'm like, okay, well, now that you've shown me that was okay, I should probably do that a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Well, look, we've encouraged the audience that with us to fire in some questions, and there's one that's come in from Abs Reef. So, Dan, what do you use to control phosphates on scale? That is obviously assuming that you have a phosphate issue with the amount of growth you get and consumption, but
we have
high phosphate.
We have straight up high phosphate. Like it's so frustrating. So right now in some of our systems, I think are in like the ballpark of 0.25, and that's low for us. Like
right.
That's low. That's us controlling phosphate. This is a weekly argument during our staff meetings whenever we talk about chemistry. Weekly. So the main guy here that likes to really like bang on chemistry is on the you're feeding too much argument. All right. So we feed 6 ounces of frozen food across 12,000 gallons daily. That doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
No.
We have auto feeders that feed a pinch maybe 2 to 3 times a day, and it depends on which system, but it's like, literally all those pellets will be consumed within 45 seconds.
Yeah.
The fish are fat. So like it's going somewhere. We actually might have had a bad batch of salt. Actually, no, we didn't might have. We had a bad batch of salt. Verified a couple of different times, but the phosphate was crazy high, between 0.35 to 0.66 phosphate. Freshly mixed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that wasn't coming from your RODI setup then?
The RO tested completely 0, and we make salt, it's 0.66. So an entire pallet was that. And when you introduce that kind of phosphate, it seeps into everything for saving for later. So even though we've cleared that out, I'm sure that a lot of stuff, because we have a lot of stuff, is now leaching phosphate. So I think that those two things contribute to the problem. I don't like to use GFO, but we do use it like in very, very small quantities just to like knock down that number. And also when you combine that with the kind of the lack of water changes that we do, That's kind of like how we end up with our phosphate issues. So I think that like our path forward is just to ramp up water changes, just to work on our export. Because as far as like the devices and technology, you realistically can't do better than what we're doing. Like the protein skimmers that we're using are literally double oversized. So we're using MRC, which is they make commercial scale.
Yeah, commercial. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And not only do we use MRC, but we've modified the MRCs to have Abyss needle wheels. Like we're not even using their pumps. We're using like crazy pumps that double the price of the skimmer, that sort of thing. We're using their filter rollers, commercial, filter rollers that last like a year per roll. That's how aggressive they are. We're doing a lot on like the technology end to the point where I'm like, no, it's not that. It has to be literally everything else, and so we're chipping away at that.
Okay,
but practical advice, do water changes. Practical advice.
Yeah.
Dare I ask what your go-to brand of salt is? Because that's the baseline for all our chemistry, right?
So not to throw reef crystals under the bus, but previously it was reef crystals. And the reason why we chose reef crystals is for decades, it really was good enough for really cheap. And I almost like took pride in that because like we weren't using like a crazy, amazing salt where our systems only worked because of our crazy, amazing salt. I kind of like in everyman's salt that's available, period, right? But like over the years, we've had literally maybe 2 bad batches ever, maybe. So it wasn't even necessarily that, but it's known to be a dirtier salt. And one of the issues that we were having was that over years, that accumulation of the amount that we go through will physically stop a pump because you've made enough sludge at the bottom of your mixing container that it can stop devices.
Wow.
And so like, okay, now we have an actual problem. Like when you need to like climb into tubs, shoveling stuff out, power washing stuff, and then again, like scooping stuff and vacuuming stuff out every now and again. Like this is crazy. And also like, again, it's like an HR issue. I don't want my employees inside closed, water containers, please. That's not great. So I decided to switch. This is fairly recently, over the last maybe 3-4 months. We've switched to Nios. We're giving Nios a try. I was also very strongly considering Tropic Marin, and I was strongly considering Fauna Marin. But I think for us to like legitimately give a salt a try, we go through it so slowly that we probably have to be evaluating this salt for about a year, perhaps, before we can like really make any conclusions. But just in working with our numbers just yesterday through like through all that year's worth of ICP, including like the more recent stuff with the new salt, I think it's pretty clear that the expensive German stuff is better than reef crystals.
Yeah, I converted over to Nios from Red Sea Blue Bucket about a year ago now, and it's good. It comes with an ICP test on the top to say what that particular batch makes up to, and it's pretty accurate. No, that's interesting. I mean, again, it's another case of no expense spared in the farm using a premium product for better results, right?
Yeah, that hurts.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's like, and coming from like because I think we should be doing more water changes. My main chemistry guy wants to do more water changes, and I've always been a little bit resistant to that because it's like, guys, this is a lot of money, and now it's even more because I've talked to like I think all 3 of the German companies like when I was over there. And I was very transparent about like the pricing that we were getting and everything like that. And they said it is, all 3 of them said this across the board. It is absolutely financially impossible to make a good salt at that price point. Impossible. And I'm like, okay.
Fair.
Okay. And and it turns out their stuff is, seems to be better. So
Yeah, I think you definitely notice it in what you said when in your mixing vats. They stay a lot cleaner. Whereas some of the other salts, you get that brown scum everywhere that's pretty quick. I found nice to be quite a clean salt, yeah. Interesting. Are there any, not to promote anything, but are there any other products that you swear by that you have really good results from? And it's not to plug anyone; it's just genuine usage.
I'll plug somebody. I'll plug Polyp Lab. Here,
Okay.
the corporate sponsor of Tidal Gardens, Polyp Lab. Real talk. I love Polyp Lab. I love Abiz. Not sponsored by Abiz, technically. I've done collaborations with them, but I'm not sponsored by them. Love their products.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We use Fauna for the test kits right now. I have no way of evaluating ICP. So my recommendation there would be whatever you're doing, stick with it. And every quarter, also send out a duplicate from another service. And just to see, hey, we have some disagreements about these. Just saying. Don't know who's right.
Yeah.
There's a disagreement. Or if you're really hardcore, try the triplicate. Send out all three and see if 2 of the 3 agree more than the one, just so you know that your main test kit, let's say, might be over or under reporting something consistently. So that's been very helpful. So, okay, I will again, Phil, you're getting your money's worth out of me for Polyp Lab. One thing that I really do appreciate about them is because of my close collaboration with them, I'm seeing hardcore trade secret test data. And so I know stuff about that product that I'm straight up not allowed to share. I didn't sign an NDA or anything like that, but I verifiably know that the sourcing that they do on stuff is very high level. And so I'm good. We're good. I was having good results with the product anyway, but then just see these are all the lab reports. This is all the sourcing, blah blah blah. We could not have tried to do this better. I'm like, okay, I'm
awesome.
good.
That makes you like a company, especially when you see them taking that extra step to go the extra distance to really bring you.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously Abiz clearly does it the hard way. Well, that place is insane.
That'd be a nice sponsor. That'd be a good sponsor to get that one. I think the only thing Abiz I own is a pen, and that's probably how it's going to stay for.
Pens are even good.
A high quality pen.
They gave me some promotional mugs, and those mugs are better than the other mugs that look exactly the same.
Well, to be fair, these disposable biros are only 40 quid each, so not too bad at all. No. Look, guys, we're getting towards the end of our 2-hour slot. I don't want to put too much pressure on people, but if we limit it to say one last question each for Than, and then we can wrap it up there. I'll go first with my one, it's fresh on the top of my head. This week I was working away up north, 4 hours away. I popped into a shop I wanted to go to called Yorkshire Reefs, and bizarrely for me, it was a really weird experience. A really nice gentleman in the shop called Nicky. Nice to see you, Nicky. I said I'd shout you out. Just introduced himself to me, presumably from seeing me on here, and it was a really weird experience. We had a really nice chat, showed me his tank, and it was great. So, how was it for you, Than? You mentioned earlier about you don't go to shops much anymore, but as a hobbyist, but are you still able to enjoy going to a fish shop, or are you quite well known now in the US circle that it's almost unpleasurable? That's a thing.
Okay. So you went in a different direction than I thought. It's fine. I mean, I don't get a ton of. I mean, I get a little bit of attention, which is fine. That's fine. As far as my enjoyment of going to see shops, the stuff that I am really looking out for, that I'm interested in, oftentimes is completely different than everybody that's actually like in this hobby. Like, so if like, you know, like with the late Jake Adams, for example, like he and I going into the same shop would have a completely different focus. Like he would be all about the corals. And you would think Than probably likes the corals too. No, I don't care about the corals. I got enough of those. We got corals at home, right? No, it's like the sort of stuff that I'm interested in is like workflow, work process, facilities, and then just like the retail panache of the place. Like, I want to see something crazy. You know, I want to see like a giant 30-foot artificial tree that has like decorations that drop down, and then there's aquariums at the bottom. You know, like I want to see crazy retail like stuff that makes no sense. You know, like that sort of stuff I'm all about. So I like really unique setups. If you show me a gorgeous mixed reef, you could not believe how little I care about that. Like, I've seen I'll never be able to tell them apart. There's so many great ones out there.
Yeah.
Show me something truly nuts that you did.
You're right, because when we met when he was in the UK before AAC opened, we stood for probably 20 minutes in front of the MPS Cube, which is Red Sea Max Nano, and he was really interested in that. You're dead right. You didn't really focus on, well, you looked around everything, but that was where you really saw something you hadn't seen too much of before.
True. Yeah, that was the stand. He had two standout tanks, that being one of them. And of course he has like the really big, gorgeous like mixed reef. It's a mixed reef. But like Paul, actually from AAC, he does like really cool stuff because he's also of that same mindset. He wants to see something new. So he put together, I didn't get to see it at the time, but he put together like a very daylight colored soft coral tank. Super cool, you know, like a super cool mangrove tank. So stuff like that. Like I like to see, if you're talking about just an aquarium and not something crazy, that's like an art exhibit. But if you can show me like a very narrow theme executed to a crazy level, I'm all about that. Like we have a tank here that's literally only Colorado sunburst. And for whatever reason, our Colorado sunbursts, they don't split. So they are 18 inches across each.
Yep.
And that's all that tank is, just gigantic pizza-sized Colorado sunbursts.
Yeah.
I love that tank.
That's nice.
Yes.
Maximum effect,
My question is that because I watched one of your video, do you truly believe there's a curse on the reef tank?
Oh yeah. Oh, that cursed reef tank got worse. So if you saw my most recent aquarium, one of my more recent aquarium videos, so I had a tank that was my Micromusa isolation tank. It was reading zeros across the board for phosphate and nitrate. And since I was growing a little bit of phytoplankton, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to put in just a little bit of phyto in there, just to like give it a little bit more nutrient, right? Put it in there. It starts to get a little bit cloudy. Starts to get a little bit more cloudy. And then it got really cloudy to the point where like the whole thing is like solid, cloudy, brown.
Wow.
And so it's like, I've got a microscope. I can see what this is. And I looked at it on the microscope. It's solid T isochrysis. Okay. Fast forward a couple of weeks, that tank, compared to that video that I shot, is 10 times worse now.
Wow.
10 times worse. Like it was clear when I shot that video.
Oh, boy.
That was like thick. So I was thinking, okay, so we went to our wholesaler here. They had like Dendronephthia, Scleronephthia, and flame scallops. I'm like, grab a bunch of those, threw them in. Did nothing. I got some rotifers. I got like live rotifer culture, threw that in. Did nothing. Okay. So yesterday, we just said we have to call this. Okay, this isn't going anywhere. Throw the UV on that sucker. Okay. So I was mostly here inside my house because I had to be to sign for packages. Otherwise, they just leave. Okay. So I call this FedEx jail. I'm in FedEx jail the whole day. So I was only able to go back in there for like 5 seconds just to like, drop something off. The entire building smells horrible. Okay.
Oh.
Because it turns out when you put a UV thing on a dense rotifer and T. isochrysis culture, it rots instantly. So I'm like, I'm like asking the staff, I'm like, is everybody else smelling this? Like, what's going on? It's a tank, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, can you guys please do a gigantic water change on that? Thanks, bye. And I went back to my house. Like, but no, that tank is cursed. Like
wow.
That is a cursed tank. So tomorrow, I have no idea what's going to be alive in there.
Oh, we might have lost it.
Might be dead. I don't know.
Oh, you did.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Wow. Terrell, do you want to wrap us up with a question?
Yeah. So, okay. So after doing this for, 20 plus years at your level, day in, day out, this is your life. What do you like most about what you're doing? And what do you like least about what you're doing?
Okay. Yeah. So what do I like most and least? So I'm a very like projecty person. I really, really, really enjoy like building out new things and trying new stuff and just improving and iterating on the processes and equipment that we already have. I love that. Like my staff kind of don't always love that. They like consistency. So I always joke that they're like my cats. Like if you move too much stuff around, they get stressed out and start like puking everywhere. That's my staff also. Like they just start like uncontrollably vomiting whenever they hear me talk about like a new project. So I'm a project guy. What I don't like, I think, is just like the day-to-day commerce of it all. I think that I am so fortunate to be at a place, at least for right now, and I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts, that not every decision that I make has to be money driven. Like, I think so many times, like we just being in the business, like so many of our decisions end up being dictated by market and just by like what you need to do to pay the bills, that you never really get to expand past that mindset even. So everything is profit motivated. And I am so happy to be at least for like this little, maybe an island of time where I can do this, but not every decision that I make is profit motivated. And because of that, I feel like that the business itself is a form of like self-expression, and that's been very rewarding.
That's awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
As I'm sure you can appreciate, and everyone in the audience probably agrees, is this could go on for another 2 hours. We haven't really scratched the surface of anything yet. But it just leaves me to say that a massive thanks for joining us, Dan, and sharing just some of your day-to-day and your experience of Tidal Gardens and what it's all about. It's been really good. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Just to let people know, you're welcome anytime, buddy. Just to let people know as well, from a few things that are coming up. Obviously, we have in the UK Love to Reef on the 20th of June, Saturday. There's a few tickets left. I'm led to believe not too many. So if you're thinking of going, do snap one up sooner rather than later. That's going to be awesome. We've got a few decent coral vendors in there, a few new coral vendors that haven't been before. It's around the corner from AAC, so you've got another great shop on your doorstep if you come to it. And also to plug next week, if you've liked what you've listened to tonight and want to hear some more about urchins, Than is live on AAC's After Dark next Thursday at 7:30 UK time. I want to hear about all this urchin spawning and stuff, so we haven't touched on it tonight, but I'm fascinated. Part 1 is out on Tidal Gardens YouTube channel, so go and watch that for a prelude. And yeah, it's going to be good. And then obviously next Friday, we're back on, myself, Terrell Dong, along with Tom, Leo and Corey, and we're going to be doing an in-depth dive into coral pests, and we've got lots of cool footage and stuff to learn about on pests. So an educational piece next Friday. So all that leaves me to do is to say once again thank you to Than, also to Dong and Terrell for joining me tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.